Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. My name is Gerald Sansing. This is September the 2nd, 2019. There are the show times: Wednesday at noon, and then again at 9 o'clock p.m. And then we've got a third one from, then we've got Thursday from 11 a.m. till noon, and then at 8 o'clock until 9 p.m. And that's available on Channel 10 via public access through Grande. And then we do have stations on, or the shows on other stations, and I'll give you those when I sit down. Anyway, there's my email address. It's gsansing@gmail.com. If you would please send me any information that you feel is pertinent and important to the show and to the taxpayers out here and the public in general, then let me know. And then it's also available on YouTube. If you want to go in, you can get this. And then you can also get the What's Going On in Corpus Christi show. And all you have to do is go into YouTube and put in Jerry with a J, J-E-R-R-Y, Sansing, and you can take your pick. Anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, thought I'd go ahead and share this graphic with you one more time. This is a taxpayer holding the bag around here with all these very large, important elected officials, and all they do is want to fill your bag up. And this, I think, exemplifies what goes on in Corpus Christi, Texas in particular. But, it's a pachyderm excrement, I guess, is what I should say to be delicate about this. But this is the way I feel about me being a taxpayer and the president of the Taxpayers Association. I've got a bunch of politicians and other people, administrators and stuff, that are feeding me the stuff in my sack here. Anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the camera is going, the timer is going, and the lights are on. So I'm going to go around here and explain what I've got here on the air today. And it may take a few minutes, but there was a time when we had some very greedy elected officials around here with the city and so forth predominantly, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to tear down the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Now that Coliseum was it was a very high award-winning structure when a guy by the name of, I think his name was architect Colley, had designed that. It was a freestanding roof, a domed roof. It had about an acre underneath it of ground, and it was used for many years, since I think it was the early 1950s when it was built, maybe mid-1950s. But it was used for all types of venues around here. Graduations, concerts. I mean, there were some people of great note that went through there: country, western, rock and roll, Hollywood, and you name it. And it was quite a place. It was a center of entertainment in Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, they also had the first ice race games in that. Okay, and I think they used to have all kinds of basketball games and so forth and so on. Now, in their infinite wisdom, they, meaning the city fathers, along with some of the local business tycoons, decided what they wanted to do was tear that down and then redo the bayfront as a destination bayfront. That happened a bit after the building was torn down. Now, as I say, it was an architecturally significant structure. So 5 of us Corpus Christians stepped in. And since it is a memorial to 400 and some odd, I think it was, World War II veterans that perished in the Korean War, then I think it was, significant enough to hang on to. Now, 5 people, I was one of the 5 called the Friends of the Coliseum, went and approached a judge here locally and asked the judge if he would put a halt on the demolition of that thing. Now, it was an absolute abortion downtown, and I've still got, for the edification of the city and the city attorneys and everybody else under the sun, I know what I'm doing when I take samples of asbestos, mold, bacteria, and so forth and so on. I've got the background and the degrees to tell you what that is. And I know asbestos when I see it on a sample. Okay. Now, the roof tiles on that were asbestos based. So when the demolition company started tearing it down, they had total disregard for slopping that stuff all over the area. Now, they had a chain link fence around the project, but they went ahead and started tearing that roofing off, and dust was flying, which contained asbestos. And then we had the actual the roof tiles there also on the street, and they were busting up. And they would bag it sort of, and then take it out to your dump and dump it. Okay. Now I've seen the trucks going with a little bit of dust coming out of there, so here we got asbestos spread through the neighborhoods. So that demolition company, as far as I was concerned, didn't know what in the hell they were doing, and all they wanted to do was get it down and get the money. Okay. So I've got those samples still in case somebody can prove that they were down there and they came down with mesothelioma from that horrible job they did. Now, we went to the judge and were able to halt the demolition for 30 days. In order to do that, the judge said halt, and the demolition company was told to halt. Okay? And then the city, in its infinite wisdom, then they went ahead and wanted a $30,000 bond for us to sign. Now, the contract, I've got a copy of the contract between the city of Corpus Christi and the demolition company, and it states quite clearly, and I don't know why, one of the biggest bozos around here that I know of is Carlos Valdez. He's not much for, he may be a fabulous attorney if you want a scoundrel attorney, but I have no faith in him. I've got no respect for him whatsoever, particularly when he was the district attorney, and then he was the city attorney, and at the time this happened, he was a city attorney. So he decided he'd go after the five of us with a lawsuit. Now, I guess the man can't read because it's very clear in there that if a court order, which it would be the judge, okay, orders a 30-day halt in the demolition process, then no one incurs any damages. So why are they after the five of us for $30,000? And I thought it had gone away. We didn't hear anything for years after that. But I understand that Mr. Miles Risley, another, I'm not going to say it, folks, okay? I'm not going to lower myself to tell you the way I really feel about that man, okay? He doesn't know what he's doing. I'll just leave it that simple, okay? Well, he was making noises a few months ago about going back after the five of us for that bond money. Now, I don't know why he wants to do that to the other four, because they haven't done anything to him. But I've been raising hell with him and about him, okay, since we had the ADA non-compliance. That's the Americans with Disabilities Act under the Department of Justice, and we've got all these blocked sidewalks everywhere, okay? And I've reported them, and, now code enforcement doesn't do it. It's traffic control, and then they'll pass it off to somebody else. And now the city, since several of the Taxpayers Association members have been raising unmitigated hell about that they're not complying with that, then all of a sudden they want us to go out and find all of these spots. Now, my vice president, Mr. Jack Gordy of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association, went to the city and to the waste collection, solid waste collection, and said, why don't you put a pad of paper in the trucks there, because they drive this city, once or twice a week, and if they can see problems with limbs hanging on the sidewalks and problems with that, they can note it down and turn it into whoever's responsible to take care of it downtown. But I don't know if they've done that or not. They said they were going to. And then I stopped the other day with a guy that was parked on the sidewalk. It's at the corner of Swantner and Ohio Street. There's a fourplex there, and there are these business trucks that are pulled up on the sidewalk with cones out there, and people have to swing real wide trying to come off of Swantner onto Ohio, and they'll kill you if you're trying to get across that street. And then we've got limbs hanging down there at that apartment complex, or that fourplex. It's 910 Ohio Street, if you want to go see it. Okay? So I've tried to turn it in. Oh, you got to go here and you got to go there and everywhere else. So I just stopped a code enforcement person about 2 weeks ago. He said, no, we don't handle that anymore. It is against code, but we don't handle it as traffic engineering. So I don't know what's going on down there or what, but I do know that our esteemed city attorney, when we went after palm trees over there at the Gulfway Shopping Center on Airlane and SPID, we were told, and I've got it in writing, a copy of it, and I sat in the meeting when Mr. Risley said this, or Risley, whatever his name is, okay? And he said, we don't have to comply with that. And if people want to get around those palm trees sitting in the middle of those sidewalks with only 18 inches or 12 inches to spare, then they can go into the street or they can run up into the parking lot. And I don't know if you've been in that parking lot at Gulfway, folks, but that is a disaster. That's a good place to get killed. So, you know, what do women do when they've got a stroller and they've got a child that they're pushing down there? Go in the street and get hit? Can you imagine the lawsuits for that? And I'm going to be the first one. In fact, I've got a very large amount of money on a check, and I said if anybody's hurt due to the fact that the city will not comply to ADA, then contact me. I'll go ahead and let you put your attorney's name in there, and I'll sign the check, and I'll put the down payment on suing the Steffens out of the city for being such blithering idiots down there. Okay? And that's the best I can say about it. So that's what we're faced with. So I want Mr. Risley, I know they watch the show, some of the city council people and all, but I'm challenging you to go ahead and either sue me or get it over with, because I'm going to go with the biggest massive lawsuit with lung disease around here, asbestosis and mesothelioma, that you've ever seen, buddy. Okay? I'm sick and tired of it. And until you morons down there perk up and start paying attention, then I'm going to be right there with the lawsuits. I'll guarantee it. Okay. Now, this program airs on Channel 10 on Grande. That's public access show. All right. And then we've got this one is on Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. and on Thursday from 8 to 9. It's also on channel 99 on AT&T. You'll have to look up the times for that. And then I understand we've got some more extensive times than this, like maybe it airs 12, maybe 18 times a week, okay, which is good for you people. And then regularly Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m., okay. And then if you go on to channel 18 with Grande, which is 1304 Spectrum and 99 AT&T, then it's Wednesday at noon to 1 p.m. And then we've got Thursday from 11 a.m. to noon. Okay? And I think it's on other channels also. I can't publish that extensive amount of information for you. Okay? Now, here's another thing that I can tell you along with filling that sack up from that pachyderm. Okay? This is what you get when you get a lot of your elected officials around here. Okay? They're not here to help you in any capacity. They're here to tell you lies and make a whole bunch of money. And I'm totally convinced of that in Corpus Christi, Texas. There are very, very few elected officials around here that really care about the taxpayers and the citizens of this fine town. Okay? I could name them, but I may have to do that one day. And then I've got some Delmar stuff there that people are harping about these days. Okay? Now, what we've got is this flag is in a brick with 3 holes in it. Okay? That is a brick that I salvaged out of the Coliseum when they tore it down. So there it is, folks, and that's about as un-American as you can get to take a memorial to 400 and something dead veterans from the, I think it was Korean War, I'm pretty sure it was, and destroy it. And then want to go for $44 million, Mr. McCampbell, for Destination Bayfront to build shade down there. Now that was a freestanding roof. You could have gutted the place completely, and it was the freestanding. You didn't need the walls in it. And now what the proposal was, and I think that's back in the budget now, is to go down there and put up shade and bathrooms. I'm just astounded, folks. So I wonder how much money that some of these city council people and so forth were going to make as kickbacks from the contractors if they went down there with $44 million for Destination Bayfront. I've got a good indication that they provide themselves with a whole bunch of money at taxpayers' expense by being on these boards and trustees and board of regents and everything else around here, and they're working for the companies that are contracting to build these wonderful things that we don't need at Del Mar College and other places. So I'm going to be red hot on that one. Okay. Then I guess I'll get off the city for a little bit. Okay, but you know, there it is, folks. And I grew up with some of the finest veterans. My family came into this country back in the early 1700s and fought the Revolutionary War and everything else since then. My father was an extremely highly decorated Air Force fighter pilot. He flew World War II, got himself shot down, walked out. He was a very lucky guy. After 90 days, he was with the underground shooting Germans as they were retreating. And he was injured when he bailed out of that Mustang, that P-51 Mustang, and he was shot at very low level, strafing trains that were bringing munitions into that portion of France. And then he flew, I don't know how many missions in Korea, and then I know he flew a minimum of 350 missions in Vietnam. And like I say, he had a chest full of ribbons you wouldn't believe. Okay, so that's what I was brought up with. And then on my mother's side, they came into this country about 1700 into the Massachusetts area, and you know, they were some of them were there. My ancestors at Lexington and Concord, and my granddad was a very highly decorated World War I veteran. He was an engineer, artillery officer in France. So been there and done that, folks. I've got cousins in the service and everything else. So, you know, I can't stand it when we disrespect veterans and memorials to veterans at that level. It's despicable. Okay, now let's see what else we've got. Oh, we've got millions of dollars that we spend as a city every year for attorneys that are outside of Corpus Christi, Texas. Okay. Now, the last I heard, we had 26 full-time attorneys on the payroll at the city of Corpus Christi. Okay. Now, I know one of them can't figure out what day it is, apparently, and doesn't care about people getting out in the streets and getting run over. I've got that in writing. He does not care. And then, you know, he's always down there with some asinine remark about something. He won't do anything about ADA, and he won't do anything about an awful lot of other things. So why are we paying him as one of the 26, I guess, full-time attorneys and having to spend millions of dollars outside of the city hall? Why don't you call your city councilman and find out? Okay? And then I've already, you know, the bayfront down there looks like hell after they tore that down. And I don't know how many people made money down there doing that. I know we had a former mayor that wanted it down. I think he owned the Whataburger, whatever it was, building down there next to the park. And then we've got a banker that owns some buildings down there, and he indicated that he wanted it torn down. And I won't say what interest that was in American Bank Center. But, you know, the whole thing stinks, folks. And we've got lack of maintenance everywhere. The streets are torn up. Sewer lines don't work. We've got horrendous water bills, which I'll come to in a minute. And this place is run about like, you know, a off-brand Southern Borneo rest camp. It's unbelievable. It really is. And I'm trying to maintain some semblance of decorum here. But it's very difficult for me when they're taking all my damn money. And, you know, if I don't do this, that, and the other, they'll just go ahead and confiscate my house or turn my water off or whatever, you know. And if I don't pay my taxes, it's Katie bar the door. And the taxes keep going up, which I'm going to discuss in just a few seconds. Okay. All right. Now, then we've got CCISD, which is another set of buffoons, pardon my French, okay, but it says city okays pay raises, $332 million budget, and this came out, about 4 or 5 days ago in the Caller Times. Okay, the Corpus Christi Independent School Board of Trustees approved employee pay raises during a meeting Monday, but some board members and teacher advocates were unsatisfied, okay. The raises were part of the 2019-2020 budget that the board approved Monday. The budget is $332 million with a tax rate of 1.27 per $100 property and so forth. It breaks it down. Okay. Now what they've done is they've given the employees, teachers, and the non-faculty employees down there raises. Okay. So it's not a great deal. I would not want to be a CCISD teacher necessarily. It's not tough being one at Del Mar College, a professor at Del Mar, but the teachers around here have absolutely get no respect from students, the students' parents. When the student gets out of line, they're down there after the child has been reprimanded, and they're down there threatening lawsuits against them. And they can't, the students are doing nothing, many of them, not all of them, but they whine and moan and groan, this is too hard and I can't go out, and smoke my cigarette and play games on my cell phone and so forth and so on, laptop or whatever. Okay, it's a mess, folks. And then we've got some of the lowest rates for academic performance in the state. Now I can't blame the teachers because their hands are tied. Okay. It's either conform to these threatened lawsuits, and the administration at CCISD is so paralyzed that they don't want to go get themselves sued or not, and they don't want to wind up in the Caller Times. Although the Caller Times, that's another story. They've gone to hell in a handbasket as far as I'm concerned. It's not a newspaper anymore. It's a rag. And for the people that may be listening out there, I'm sick and tired of having to go through a big split leaf plant out back, okay, philodendron, and go in there with the spiders and the snakes, because that's where my paper winds up in my alleyway in the back every single day. And right in the middle of that with all the dead leaves and the moisture and everything else. And I've been taking this rag for 30 years. Now it wasn't a rag up until it changed hands with this USA Today network. And I've got no respect for the Caller Times. Okay, they don't cover diddly, and then what they do is they certainly won't cover Del Mar College because they're afraid, I guess, that Del Mar cut off their all the advertising. And by the way, today is Monday, on Labor Day. On Saturday, I almost fell out of my chair. There was a Del Mar College ad on, because what happened is, I'll go back and tell you, it was a terrible, terrible situation over there, and the enrollment's gone to hell in a handbasket, hadn't increased since 1992. But I saw an ad for students. Now, we start the second week of classes tomorrow, so why are we still advertising? And I may as well show you this. Somebody sent this out. It's usually Dreams Delivered, which is about 60 porno sites if you go into the internet with that. Okay, it used to be What's Your Dream, same thing there, but Dreams Delivered, somebody scratched that out and sent this to me the other day, and I think it went out on Facebook. But anyway, it says Debt Delivered, and I'm going to talk about the horrendous debt that we're in with all this stuff that we just can't live without. I did it. If you watch the What's Going On in Corpus Christi show, I spent 30 minutes attending to that. Okay, so we do have the faculty members that are getting a little bit of boost in pay. Okay, now what galls me about all this is we can start at Del Mar College with a 9-month teaching contract with someone that will come in with a minimum of a master's degree, and they start at a lesser salary than a bachelor's degree school teacher does with CCISD. So where's all that money going that you're paying at Del Mar College? It damn sure isn't going to go to the faculty and staff. And over there at Del Mar, since I'm on the subject, then what we have is several years ago, well, we have a president that came into here saying and bragging that he was born and raised in Corpus Christi. He lived 2 or 3 blocks from the West Campus over there on the other side of town. Okay, and that he went to school with all of the sons and daughters of those poor people over there that worked and slaved for a living, the custodians and groundskeepers. Okay? Now, And he was very proud of that, and I don't blame him. Those are some hard-working people, folks, or were. Okay. Then, I guess it was this blithering idiot that we had for a CFO, a chief financial officer. He decided, I don't know if he was, who was getting kickbacks on this, I can only surmise. But what happened was, all of a sudden, we dumped the custodial crew, and we hired a big corporation company out of Ohio, I think it was, to come in, and it started out about $80,000 to $85,000 a month to hire part-timers at minimum wage and have them do the work. Okay? And they still are ongoing. It's up over $90,000 a month for custodial services, and that's what you're being billed. And then for a while there, they had about $20,000 a month going out to the groundskeepers and the groundkeeping crew I think they were out of the valley. But they didn't trim the bushes and cut the grass every once in a while. The place looked like a third world country. Now I think what they've done recently is they have hired a crew at Del Mar College for the groundskeeping. Okay? And I hope to everything that's right in this world, that they go ahead and dump that custodial service and hire full-timers with benefits. And I remember when they fired all of the custodial crews, the man that was in our building who had benefits coming to him and so forth and so on was like 2 weeks away from retiring with his benefits, and they fired him, so he just had to limp off. Okay? That's what we put up with at Del Mar College. Okay? So, brave. Then our buildings over there, $159 million, or $157 million for East and West buildings. The one on East building, the music and whatever classroom structure or general classroom buildings, which cost $40 million, was supposed to be complete last week on August 26th. And the students showed up with their printouts of their registration that had a bunch of classrooms booked over there in that building, and they were told that they didn't get it open in time. They were sorry about that, so they had a whole bunch of students running around 4 or 5 different places looking to find out where their courses were rescheduled. It was total, complete chaos, from what I understand. It didn't affect us because we didn't have classes that were scheduled in that new building. So I didn't hear a word about that in the Caller Times. Didn't hear a word about it on any of the 3 news channels around here, TV, radio, or anything else. Okay. It may have been discussed by Sean Flanagan on the Bob Jones show. Okay, I think that's Thursday mornings. I'm busy at that time in classroom. Okay. Now another thing it says, the STEM, the science, technology, and engineering and math. Okay. Chapter school delays start date. Okay. That's where is that? Construction. I forget exactly where that's located, but this was a little bitty section in the Caller Times that said that was not completed, so those students had to wait to go to class. I think they're in now. Then I'll get off on one of my favorite subjects. We have a new water tower to be retested in early 2020. So we've got these 2 enormous water towers. There's one out there in Annabelle and another one here in town. Okay, and a new 3 million gallon water storage tank on Holly Road was supposed to be operational in the summer of 2018, but the city's plans didn't work out. What can I say? That's a big surprise, isn't it? Okay, so here we've got one of the people down here. Let's see who he is. I'm not going to name his name. I know him, but have been totally unimpressed. The city's assistant director for water quality and treatment attributes those water main breaks to weather conditions. So when they charged up that thing, it would build up the pressure in the pipes, and since our infrastructure, especially the water and sewer around here, is so abysmally out of date and unoperational, then the water lines started breaking. Okay, so they've been digging up these at your expense. Now, when is this? The summer of 2018. We've gone through the summer of 2019, and we're almost into 2020, and it still doesn't work. Okay, and then this same guy kept preaching, you know, so-and-so declined to answer how many water lines broke. The Caller Times filed a Freedom of Information Act on Monday to find out. This came out on the 6th of August. Okay, I don't know if they've come out with it or not. I haven't seen any reports. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that one's covered up with a little pressure from the city council people. Okay, and then it goes through the pounds per square inch and so forth and so on. It said Mayor Joe McComb said when city water officials tested the Holly Road Tower, older water lines couldn't handle the extra pressure. Well, that's a big surprise to me. Okay, and then the same guy who is the city's assistant director for water quality and treatment attributes those. He's the same guy with the Coles and Ropes Park commission that we had to find out why we keep getting fecal-borne bacteria in the bay every time it rains, and we get it through the stormwater sewers. Well, I can tell you why. We tried to get this. I was on that committee. We tried to get the city to have the organisms tested to see if they were, what origin they were. You can genetically test fecal-borne bacteria these days in a genetics laboratory. They do that for about $375 for a sample, but you can have it tested to find out whether that is a feline excrement or whether it is equine, if you know what that is, excrement, whether it's canine, ovine, and so forth and so on, bovine. It's a mess, but they wouldn't have it tested because they don't want to know that what happens is, see, they blame it on people having their dogs go out and poop in the front yard. Well, if they sit this long in the heat, folks, let me tell you, if it does rain and it goes down the sewer, those organisms are dead and gone long ago. They cannot stand to this heat and desiccation and so forth and so on. But I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? I've only spent, what, Lord, how many years now? I don't know, 50, 60 years, 50 at least, in the wild world of microbiological research. And you know, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's the same thing that Delmar says when they mess up the microbiology classes over there, and then they expect me to go back into a maze of trash over there and pollution and so forth and teach students in laboratories that should be shut down and condemned. I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay, but the common word is over there, I don't know how to teach microbiology. So we've got people over there that are disasters. They know how to teach it the right way. Well, good luck, folks. But anyway, that's the water tower stuff. I don't know how many more decades it's going to take before we can get the pipes that'll stand the pressure for that one. And then speaking of our water system and so forth, the utilities, $6.27 million owed the city for utility services. This came back in July. A meeting with Corpus Christi residents and city council members and candidates on the city's water issues convened last October at Brooks AME Worship Center. Now what happened is, and I was hung up with this too, people have been overbilled, and I've got another article here, why is your city water bill so high? I'll read that. This is our new city manager came up with this one. I've tried to get a hold of him with some issues that I have, and I've left messages down there on the voicemail, and I can't get a call back. So I'm sure Mr. Risley said, hey, don't call him back. He could be in nothing but trouble. And it's headed that way. It's going to be Katie bar the damn door when I have a belly full of that and can't get things done. Okay. Now, I've questioned why for many, many months that my water consumption added up to a whopping $12, between $12 and $13 per month. Then I was getting billed $120 something a month for wastewater. Now, how in the hell can you bill me for water that I do not run down the Johns? Now, I don't water my lawn. I let Mother Nature take care of that. I only do minimum. I do take a shower every day, sometimes twice if I've been out in the yard working. Okay, I do not water the lawn. I'm in the house by myself. Okay, I don't have anybody else here. I do my laundry and I do the dishwashing on a regular basis. So I had a whopping 12 to 13 bucks a month. Yet these morons down there are billing me for 120 something and expect me to understand what the hell's going on there. I don't. I still don't, except you're ripping me off. And I don't mind telling you. I'm here on public television telling the city council and the city fathers and everybody else right now, plus our new city manager, Mr. Peter Zanoni, that they're ripping people off. And how he can go ahead and justify this, I'll read it to you in a minute, it's hilarious. Okay? And I understood, he was supposed to be a hotshot city manager or assistant out of San Antonio, but I haven't been impressed any more than I am with our city attorney. So I don't know, City Manager Zanoni, whether you want to get into it with me or not. We'll just see. But anyway, there are a lot of people, I'd heard of thousands of dollars of bills for people living over there in Coles and Hillcrest and Solomon Coles area. Okay. It's disgusting. Okay, here we go. Why is your city water bill so high? Question mark, Thursday, August 22nd of this year. Okay. Sonia Freier's August water bill was about $370, the highest it has ever been. She, 49, does laundry only once a week. Doesn't use a dishwasher and stopped watering her lawn months ago because of the heat. Okay? I've called City Hall and argued with these people for so many months. Okay? My usages haven't changed. She said, in the last 4 or 5 months, it has gotten higher and higher and higher. That means the bill. What can we do? No one is going to listen to us. Well, yeah, that's right, lady. I mean, you can leave messages on important matters to ask the city manager to call you back and make an appointment to sit down and talk to him, and he won't even give you the common courtesy of calling you back. Okay? So, what can I say? And then they ran off one of the best that's ever happened to us, the Rose. Okay. She lives with her husband, son-in-law, and granddaughter in a 2,100 square foot home off Bellevue Drive near Cullen Middle School. She said her household doesn't have any water leaks. Then we have, this was written by Catherine so-and-so Cargo with U.S. Today Network, which means the caller time sliding into oblivion too. I'm surprised they even wrote this. Why are city water bills so high? Question mark. Corpus Christi officials acknowledged on Wednesday water production climbs sharply during this last week. So what? Okay. If you got to produce more, that doesn't mean people are using more. But that's the spin that the new city managers put on this, essentially. The city provides water to 8 counties in the region and serves about 500,000 residential and commercial customers. They're also selling their soul, but folks, okay, to these large industries around here. And that's the reason production's up, okay? And the demand is up. And they're going to take care of those people first because that's where these city council people and all make all their money. Production increased from roughly 80 million gallons per day to 100 million gallons, City Manager Peter Zanoni said. Several residents took to social media to talk about their concerns. The city received nearly a dozen complaints about high water bills from the London area and on Tuesday, Zanoni said. This is a symptom of the dry weather we're moving into. It hasn't rained in weeks. if not months, he said. So since it's hot outside, then you must be using all that water for something, even though you don't. You can testify that you don't use any more than you did when the bills were much less. Okay. This is twisted logic, folks. Yeah, well, it's not. It's just twisted facts. City officials' initial analysis determined most of the reports of high water bills were related to higher usage. Well, I would hope so, but that doesn't include everybody. You're just going to blanket screw everybody around just because a few people water their lawns. Customers are using more water than normal because of the drier season, Zanoni said. Okay, for the most part, it has been that they use more water than normal to water their lawns, to take care of the landscaping. Well, this woman up here didn't lie, I don't think, saying that she didn't water her lawn, but it's gone to $370 a month. Come on, sir. You can't be that dumb. Okay? City officials are investigating each report one by one. If customers request, a city technician can visit their homes to determine what is causing higher usage. Well, it's these damn meters. They're not worth a rip. And it goes on, and I won't belabor this. I need to talk about some other stuff. Okay? And it's just, you know. And then they say residents have to pay proportion of the bill they are disputing. Okay? But they've got to pay. For example, if you challenge the water service portion of your September bill, you still have to pay the month's wastewater, gas, solid waste, and a street fee. So even though you haven't used that much water and you're not sticking it back down the sewer pipe, you've got to pay for the month's wastewater. Makes perfect sense to me. It's baloney, folks. Okay, it's phony baloney. There was a guy that was the president of the Taxpayers Association when I joined up, Mr. Joe O'Brien, and he really made it painful down there, and I'm trying to live up to his reputation. So anyway, and Joe used to say that the city was full of phony baloney, that's all they're giving you. City desalination plans could soon be clearer, and this came out in June. Okay, we still got a problem with that. If they think that desal is going to do the trick down here, all they're going to do is bill you so that they can go ahead and award a bunch of industries around here a bunch of free water, or essentially free water at your expense. And then what's going to happen is when they have their tax assessments come in, tax appraisals, these large companies are going to say, my property's not worth that, even though you gave us tax abatements and you pull us in here. And some of you people have made a fortune with some of these companies. And I know of people that, never mind, that was the Las Brisas Energy Center. That's for another day. Okay, a city councilman's wife was the public relations for Chase Energy when they came into town, and he voted to give them tax abatements and voted to have that thing sitting downtown killing babies. Unbelievable. You know, it's all about the money. Let's screw the public. Okay, now, so what we've got is, you know, one of the worst things we can do around here is to provide water through desal, go ahead and pollute all of our bays and estuaries around here, and you know, make money for the big companies. So when it comes tax time for them, they can say, well, my property's not worth what you're doing this, and since we've got more money than you've got, we're going to hire attorneys and haul your butt into court, and then we can keep you there and you can't get your tax money. That's what it's all about. Proposed city budget may double street funds. And here we've got City Manager Peter Zanoni again is expected to present a $1.2 billion municipal budget proposal to City Council today. And this was back in July the 30th, and then they've had all these things back and forth. It sounds good, but I remember when there was a certain mayor and they had some money to repave the streets and start with that. And guess whose street was the very first one that was repaired and completely resurfaced? The mayor's, of course. And there's a picture of city manager Zanoni, and then there's one of my favorite guys, Mr. Miles Risley, sitting beside him. Okay, or just beside him, staring out like, what is he talking about? Okay. I don't know where we get these people. I really don't. It's disgusting. And then it says city budget proposes $25 million to repair 65 streets. $25 million wouldn't be a drop in the bucket, folks, compared to what we need. And all you have to do if you want to see the city's most prestigious street around here, it's called Ocean Drive. And that looks, I've seen better streets than that in the back, up in the hills, built with gravel in Athens, Greece. And European streets are much better than ours. We live in a fourth world country, not even third world. And do you think many people care? No. A lot of you people go and just vote for this person and say, oh, well, they had the best ads on TV and we don't know anything about them. And then they wind up with, I do know of one of the city people down there that's got a moving company that's now contracted with Del Mar College to move a bunch of furniture around and I guess, pick it up at the railhead or whatever. Okay. Wonder what that contract's worth. I'm going to find out. Oh, Lord. Okay. So, I'm just going to keep up the beat, folks. And as I've told Del Mar, I said, when you go hire a hitman to get rid of me, and I do watch my chest frequently, especially right about right here, then get a good one. I don't want to just be, another screw up from the city or the county or Del Mar College and have to lay around in a bed and suffer for a long time. Okay, just make sure that you hire a good one and take me completely out, because I ain't going to shut up. Okay? All right. I give ulcers, I don't get them. Sorry about that. And I don't get mad, I get even. Upkeep of vacant homes waste money, mayor says. Okay, so now we've got Joe McComb coming in saying that we've got a bunch of these houses, derelict houses around that the city is responsible for and so forth, abandoned houses, okay? And the tax money's being wasted on those. Well, I think, Mr. McComb, what you need to do is just repossess them, and if they're not, if they can't be sold at a decent amount to cover what's owed on the house, and tear it down, and then sell the property off. Okay? The city also enlists the help of U.S. Army National Guard. Last year, the National Guard helped the city demolish 23 or 24 buildings, saving the city about $70,000. Well, that's a good use for them. Okay, at least it's off the rolls, and it's not costing us money to maintain them. Cities worry about new laws' impact on budgets. Okay, and this came out of Dallas. There are a lot of laws and so forth that are going to affect the budgets that the cities can adopt and so forth and so on. And then we've got another one here. This goes back to our assistant water guy. Is your beach one of America's dirtiest? And I think they said Nueces County's got 5 of the 10 top dirtiest in here. And they do have a picture over here of trash. Another debris wash up on a flooded McGee Beach, June 2010. Well, that's been a long time ago, but what we do, like I say, is we have fecal-borne microorganisms in there, and I still would like to know whether that is from cats, dogs, goats, elephants. Maybe it's that pachyderm. Maybe us taxpayers dropped that sack and it fell into the bay or something. But I can tell you that every time it rains, here you go, and the city will not cooperate, and they won't go in and say, hey, we've got a bunch of destroyed water lines in the same holes around here from days past that the water lines are in, and the sewer lines, and the and the storm water lines, storm sewer lines. U.S. Environmental Beach Study aired, not dirty. And this goes back to California, but it said the list of dirty beaches and so forth, that they had made some errors with that. I can't imagine. I don't know if you can or not. And then we've got the terminal plan spurs fears, and I have been on the side of environmentalists for a long time. I know what's balanced and what's not. I don't believe in an awful lot of the crap that goes on from former vice presidents and so forth, but I do and have had an awful lot of training in things like toxicology and microbiology and biochemistry and so forth and so on. So I think I know a toxin when I see one and what can kill you and what can't. Okay? But anyway, the terminal plan, and there's a big controversy in here about the these different industries trying to move in over there around Port Aransas. And I don't blame the people at Port Aransas for raising unmitigated hell about this. I started flying into Rockport, Port Aransas, and so forth back in the late 1970s when I finally came home from industry. I retired once and learned how to fly. My dad taught me how to do that, and I would take my bride and we'd jump in the plane, and anyone that was available around San Marcos area, I had plenty of people that wanted me to go limber them up and fly them around. I said, can I take my bride down to Rockport, where I had an old beat up car sitting down there in the parking lot. We'd fly in with our bags, tie down the airplane, put our bags in the car, and drive around Rockport into Corpus Christi. And we did spend a lot of evenings and weekends over in Port Aransas. Okay, I think it was called Channel View, and it's got a great fishing pier right there on the channel. So I would hate to see the that whole ecosystem over there ruined because of the greed of a few of these people that are elected to be on the Port Commission and city officials and all the rest of this garbage around here. Port officials, as I said. Okay, and I could name off some of them. I noticed one of them wound up being the Chamber of Commerce head or something. What a mess. Okay, but it says here that Beverly Boulder, a Port Aransas City Council member, speaks against the Harbor Island project Tuesday during Port of Corpus Christi Authority meeting. Okay, and I don't blame you, ma'am. You just go on. It took me 6-7 years with a couple of hundred people to shut down Las Brisas Energy Center, which the American Pediatric Association guaranteed would kill a minimum of about 80 to 100 infants a year alone. And that was another one of these things that was a real boondoggle. So I've been there, done that. I have made offers to some of the people over there at Port A. I have not heard back from them. I know they're extremely busy, and so am I. But if I can help in any way and somebody gets this back to Port Aransas and that group over there trying to shut down that Harbor Island expansion and so forth, let me know. I will be glad to join my voice in there, or we can put on a couple of shows here. I'll be glad to film y'all and get done with it. Then we have one that I was intrigued by. Okay, it says Nueces County District Attorney Mark Gonzalez isn't shy about his tattoos. He has several all over his body. So when the district attorney's office presented a check to the Nueces County Juvenile Justice Volunteers Incorporated for a tattoo removal machine, he felt the need to explain. Okay, now we've got a bunch of young men and women around here that have tattoos all over them. Some of those are related to their affiliation with street gangs and cults and all types of weird and unlawful things. So I think that this would be a good deal. You know, I mean, everybody's down on him for tattoos. I couldn't care less. You know, if somebody wants to do that, all I can say is just wait until you're about 60, 70 years old and see when they start fading and and drooping. Okay, tattoos are most commonly removed using a laser. Depending on the tattoo, several procedures may need to be done before the ink is removed, according to the Mayo Clinic, and I think they do a lot of that. So thank you, District Attorney Gonzalez. That's a good step forward, I think, personally. And then this came back out a couple of days ago. Is your property tax being raised? how to know. Okay? And this one I'm going to end up the show with. I believe I can get it done with this. Okay? Caution. And this was Tom Whitehurst Jr. He's with the Caller Times down here. Has been even pre-USA Today, I think. Okay? I don't pay much attention to their analysis anymore. And, you know, they've got some editorial writers down there and so forth that are poisoned against a lot of things around here. So I don't read, pardon me, I don't read their columns. And Mr. Whitehurst, I will pay attention maybe 30% of the time. Caution, this is a confusing time of the year, but an important time to stay informed. Local governments are approving their budgets and property tax rates. That means your money is at stake. Then it goes down here, it goes through some other stuff, okay? It says, how can taxes rise if rates drop? Simple. If the appraised value of your property goes up more than they lower their taxes, and it'll be a cold day in hell when they lower the tax rates, your taxes just went up. By the way, if you're a renter, not an owner, this is no time to stop reading. What we're talking about here still hits you in the wallet, because generally landlords to make money are landlords to make money, not to make sure you're not homeless. They pass their expenses on to you by raising your rent. And then see, I've got a bunch of students under the misconception at Del Mar that they don't have to pay for that. They're not paying property taxes and stuff that go in to be squandered at Del Mar College. And I said, wait a minute, do you rent? Well, yeah. I said, well, the landlord's going to pay the rent, pay the taxes. When you pay the rent, he's going to pay for upkeep, and he's going to make a certain amount of money. So he's going to pay the property taxes on that, and he's taking it out of your rent. And then it raises some other questions. How can I know where I stand? Well, there are ways to do that. Okay, is this all I need to know? And it says no, not by a long shot. Okay, the effective tax rate is based on all of the property in the taxing entity's boundaries. So if the oil companies out here, refineries, sue the city, and the city can't go ahead and prove that the money is owed to them, and they can't collect that money, guess who's going to pay for it? Okay, that's what frosts my backside. Really does. And then we had tax hearing after tax hearing. We got Del Mar College, Del Mar College, Board of Regents, Del Mar College. And then let's see, this was Ingleside Independent School District. And then we've got, what was this one? Nueces County. And then we've had the proposal by London ISD. And then we had West Oso ISD, and then CCISD, and so forth and so on. Okay? And then it says here that Del Mar College finalizing a 2020 budget tax rate. This came out on the 22nd of this month after our 21st. They had another meeting, I think, on the 22nd. And then they said here on the 28th, this came out in the Caller Times, Del Mar College passes the budget. And there's a little bit for the raises, but I want to tell you right now, folks, that Del Mar College has the highest debt rate per student of any college in the state of Texas. Okay? And I think that's a crime and a tragedy. And, and then here we go. We've got Del Mar's going to build dorms after we're going to pay $800 million for a Southside campus. And we have been flatlined with enrollment since 1992. So we're averaging about 12,000 students a year, or per semester, fall and spring. And it's been flatlined since 1992. And 2,000 of those now, which didn't happen a couple of years ago, are dual credit students that do not attend Del Mar College campus. And they pay a third of the tuition that the regular full-time students do. So we're going to build a multi-million dollar campus out on Yorktown and what is that? Rodfield Road to house 15,000 students. So I don't think so. Anyway, I've got about 30 seconds left. I'm going to zero in on my brick there.